Hi, my name is Mikael Svensson, and I work at Microsoft Search. With me today, I also have my colleague Jyoti Pal. The topic today is about moving from the classic SharePoint search experience over to Microsoft Search. We'll cover why Microsoft Search is the way forward, and also how to move some of the classic search scenarios and capabilities over to Microsoft Search.
Thanks, Mikhail. Hello, everyone. My name is Jyoti, and today we'll be talking about Microsoft Search. So first off, let's get started with why you should be choosing Microsoft Search. Today's modern workplace is changing. You have a lot of people who are doing work from different places using different tools and applications. To be productive, one of the key things that is required is to find information easily and quickly. And for this, you need an intelligent search. With Microsoft, the guiding principle for this intelligent search, which is Microsoft Search, is the fact that it has to be ubiquitous. It has to empower people to be able to be productive, and it does that by being actionable, as well as it has to cater to your organization needs. So you should be able to tailor the Microsoft Search according to your needs. And it should do all of this while adhering and aligning to the principles of security and privacy in Microsoft 365. Now, several of you are already using classic SharePoint search and would be thinking about how it compares to Microsoft Search. So let's actually have a look at that by looking at some of the key principles, or let me say key factors, which will help you figure out what the difference between these two is. To start with, before we go into any of the specifics, let's actually look at the foundation of Microsoft Search and AI, which is based on Microsoft Graph. Now, what is Microsoft Graph? In simple terms, it's a connected brain of world knowledge, organizational knowledge, which is information in your organization, as well as individual knowledge. It has rich signals from applications like Office, Bing, as well as Windows. And it has a repository of huge amount of information and signals. Now, what all of this does is gives us a capability of drawing patterns, which let us gain valuable insights and create experiences for you. Now, the question is, how is this relevant for Microsoft Search? So let's get to that. As a first point, let's look at personalization and relevance. When you think about Microsoft Search, it has personalized results based on who you work with and the documents you work on, because that's really relevant for your daily work life. Apart from this, you have relevant results which are provided using Microsoft Graph. So in simple terms, think of it as your working patterns, people you work with, your usage patterns, and various other signals like these, which are used to determine and show you relevant results. Lastly, you also have answers. Now, answers are a quick way of finding information, which again makes things much more actionable for you. We also have AI-driven answers. So essentially, answers are mined out of the information which is present in your organization. So this is Microsoft Search. Let's actually look at what Classic Search has. When you come to Classic Search, it has the same relevance for everyone. It has one size fits all, which may not work out well for people with really diverse diaspora. Apart from this, you also have the fact that it lacks the quick refine capabilities and navigation from search box. Some of these are things which we'll show you in a bit. You also have the capability of manually targeting in case of classic search. So if you want to target something like, let's say, promoted results, you do have that capability. However, from our telemetry, we actually see that it's barely being used, it's difficult to set up, and it's cumbersome. And you also have the capability of creating answers when it comes to classic search. But again, it's manual, it doesn't have the AI power behind it. Holistically, if you look at the complete picture with respect to personalization and relevance, Microsoft Search is much more personalized when you compare it to classic search. So let's look at ubiquity of Microsoft Search. The reason this is important is again going back to modern workplace, where you have people using different types of applications and tools to get their work done. Even within an organization, You could have one group of people which uses some set of applications heavily, and you could have another group of people which uses a completely different set of applications. One of the challenges that actually comes in over here is the fact that when you're working and you have to find some information, you have to leave that particular application and go elsewhere to search. This causes an interruption of your workflow and results in lower productivity. With Microsoft Search in Microsoft 365 products, we bring search to where you are. We have an underlying service called as Microsoft Search Service, which powers the search experience in Microsoft 365 products. If you think about Word, Excel, Outlook, Office.com, Teams, and many more, the same service is being used to power the search experience. And as a result, you can get search consistently, coherently, and moreover with lesser interruptions. When you think about classic search against this, classic search is available in primarily SharePoint as well as OneDrive. So in this case, you still have a lot of interruptions which are introduced when you're actually searching for information, which should not be the case. So let's actually have a look at how all of this plays out in real scenarios. So let's go over to a demo of personalized search and also of ubiquity of Microsoft Search.
Let's take the example of Contoso Electronics. This is an organization where a lot of employees use SharePoint Home amongst other products to search for information. Over here, we have Megan, who is an employee who works on Market Project. In this case, she's looking for an Excel file related to Market that she had been working on a few days ago, and she had closed it some time back. Now she wants to go ahead and locate it again. So let's see how she goes about doing this. So on this particular SharePoint homepage, she'll firstly head to the search box, and even before she starts typing anything, she sees a set of suggestions. Now these are based upon what she has been doing in the past, based on personalization, and also based on who she could potentially be working with. So in this case, it's a very easy and quick way of actually finding things that she's looking for. In case what she's looking for is not present in these suggestions, then Megan can go ahead and start typing in her keyword. Now, again, you will see that these set of suggestions are being refined as Megan types. Now, here is the actual Excel file that Megan has been looking for. And in this case, she can just directly click on it and find the Excel file and start working on it. But let's just go ahead and hit enter over here and see what is the search result page experience that she sees. So as soon as Megan hits enter, she's taken to the search page experience where she sees a set of results. Now you may notice over here that there is a card which is explaining what the Contoso Market project is, but this is not what she's interested in. And as she browses through the results, she notices that the Excel file that she has been looking for is the third result. So she's able to find the exact information that she's looking for over here. Now let's head over to the classic search experience and see how Megan can perform the same search. When we go to the classic search experience and go to the search box over here, the first thing you might notice is that there are no suggestions present over here based on personalization. So in this case, Megan will again type in Market, which is something that she had typed in earlier as well, and hit the search. And she'll see a list of search results that are available to her. As we browse through these, we will notice that these are certainly relevant. Most of them, in fact, probably all of them, are talking about the Market project, but they're not the file that she has been looking for. Let's actually head over to the second page and see if the file is found over there. As we scroll through, we see that the file is still not found, despite the fact that Megan had been working on it just a few days or a few hours back. So let's just make this particular keyword a bit more precise to see if the result can actually be seen. And as soon as we do that, we do see that the file that Megan is looking for is actually there and can be found. So as you may have noticed over here, although classic search also has the same set of results, the Microsoft search prioritizes the search results based on what you have been working on, and the relevance and personalization is actually much better for you. Let's head over back to Microsoft Search. Let's think about another case. Now, Megan has also been asked to work on a new project called TEE. To begin with, Megan is not really sure what that means. Now, the way search can help her over here is if she goes ahead and says define TEE and hits enter. So let's see. And this is what she sees. This is an answer where a set of expansions for the TEE acronyms have been provided to her. There are different ways using which these acronyms have been created. If you see the top one, this is extracted from a file called entity extraction, which Megan has access to, where it's suggesting that the possible expansion could be text entity extraction. The second one is published by her organization, which explains that TE could also mean trusted execution environment, and it provides a definition for the same. The third one, similar to the first one, is extracted from an email, which also has another possible expansion for TEE. In an organization, an acronym can actually mean multiple things depending on the team, the work, etc. So you may notice that over here, this experience allows Megan to learn more about what TEE is and to get started with her work. The extractions over here for the first and the third result are driven through AI, and they are based on the documents or the content that the employee, in this case, Megan, has access to. Now, this is great. Search is definitely helping Megan, but does Megan always have to come here to SharePoint to actually find this information? What if instead of searching this, somebody had actually just shared a document with Megan which spoke something about TEE? So I do have a document over here. So now this is a document which has been shared with Megan, which speaks about TEE. Now, Megan should be able to find the expansion or the possible meanings over here in this document as well. And she can do that. So in this case, in the header, Megan goes to references and then to acronyms. And when she does that, she can find the same set of information that she found in the search result. Due to this, you can understand that Megan is able to receive information and do search right from where she is. And she does not have to leave her current context to go somewhere else to interrupt her workflow. A similar experience is in fact present when somebody is searching from Bing. So here I am in Microsoft Search in Bing, and the same set of experience is available over here as well. In case you're doing this from office.com, the same experience would be available to you again. As a result, you can see how Microsoft Search is present across multiple Microsoft products, which helps you stay in context and find the information that you're looking for without interrupting your workflow and while staying productive.
So these were a few elements of Microsoft Search where you saw the importance of personalized search as well as ubiquity of Microsoft Search and how it adds to your productivity. There are many more like this, and for this, I would like to hand over to my colleague, Mikhail.
Thank you, Jyoti. That was a great set of demos. When we talk about Microsoft Search, we also have to talk about the content, because without any content, there's nothing to search. So for classic SharePoint search, content was more or less limited to OneDrive and SharePoint content. There's also the ability to use the cloud hybrid search option, which entails you to have a SharePoint on-premises server, which can then index either your on-premises SharePoint or some other line of business data, like a file server or database, and push that content into the cloud index. So this option is already there. It's supported, and you may continue to use it, and that data will show up in Microsoft Search. For those who have used that option, you might think that it's a bit cumbersome to set up, and we agree, and that's why we have also created something called graph connectors. So we have a set of graph connectors right now, for example, for a web crawler, database, or ServiceNow, which makes it easier for you to set up indexing of those line of business data. There's also a graph connector developer API, which means you can create your own graph connectors. I mean, if you have some custom source, which there is not a connector for already built, you may build it yourself and push that data into our cloud index. Or you may contact one of our connector partners and purchase the connector from them. In addition to the third-party scenario, we're of course onboarding more and more first-party content, where Teams and Yammer might be good examples. They have always had their own built-in search, but they're now part of Microsoft Search, which allows data to be searchable outside those client applications. So this means that you could be in one application, it could be in SharePoint Search, Office.com, or in Word, Excel, PowerPoint. And when you search for something, in addition to just getting files from OneDrive and SharePoint, you might also get relevant Teams conversations, Yammer conversations, or even Power BI reports. People search has always been an important part of enterprise search. We acknowledge this fact and are building new search experiences centering around people as a way to find content. Where you previously had to go to Delve to look at a person profile or see what content they are working on, you can now do this directly from Microsoft Search. And to further build on the entity concept, we are providing quick refine capabilities directly from the search box itself. Microsoft Search also vastly extends the promoter result capability in Classic Search to also include search on office locations, employee seating. We have AI mined acronyms, which Jyoti showed, and also connecting content with a person's expertise through Project Cortex and who knows what. So now it's time to do some demos to look at this feature and see some of the comparisons between the Classic Search and Microsoft Search. So this is a classic search experience, the Enterprise Search Center. I'm going to search for something called Mark 8. So Mark 8 is a drone, since our company is working with drone manufacturing. So see, I get some search suggestions here. So let's start clicking search. And you get your regular view with fairly the same ranking for every one of these results. We get some videos, we get some Word documents, and different items. And on the left-hand side, we have some result types, and we also have an auto refiner. So now if I open up a new tab, so since this is the Edge browser and I'm logged in, this actually gives me a direct access into Microsoft Search in Bing. So let me search for Mark 8. So here at the top, you see I have some work results. I have an answer, which is actually a bookmark, or I can see all the results, or I can click the work tab. So let me quickly click see all results. And this takes me to the work vertical. So these are all secured, and there's nothing here going over to Bing. So at the top here, I have a bookmark, which is similar to what in Classic called promoter results, which is far easier to manage as a bookmark in Microsoft Search compared to the query rules. So for anyone who has managed more than about 10 query rules or 10 promoter results, you know that it becomes quite a hassle to manage that, and the UI is slow. Adding more or editing them is quite hard. And the results here is same or more or less the same. I have some videos, documents, etc. But on the left-hand side, you see I also have some new verticals. So the conversation vertical is, as I talked about, Yammer and Teams results. So here's me actually talking about the Mark 8 drone in both Teams and Yammer, since I'm logged in as Emily. And if I go to ServiceNow, so ServiceNow is one of our first-party graph connectors, allowing you to connect to ServiceNow. So I have some knowledge base articles here for ServiceNow, and the top one as a maintenance guideline. for the Mark 8 row. So let me go into a similar search experience in SharePoint for the modern search. So this is me not typing any queries. So if I enter the search box, I start getting some suggestions right off the bat without typing anything. So these are just ways for me to quickly get back into different documents to see, well, so I can get into the Mark 8 user study. That's apparently relevant for me. Maybe I recently viewed that document or people I work close with. So let me do the same search query, Mark 8. So I see the same bookmark on top and then the same result that I saw from on Marks of Search Bing. And then I also have the same vertical. So if I go to Service Now, that's the same results I saw for that connector. And as I told you, we're adding more visual view the images. So I also get images there, and also see I get the size and I get the dimension for these files, making it a lot easier to actually navigate images. We're also adding more tagging to images. That means we can extract what's actually in the image to get more recall on images just outside the actual file name. So that's one pivot. So going back to the landing page, so if I search for Mark 8 again, so I want to compare the classic and modern experiences. So if I go to the classic, so here I have an auto refiner, which is pretty much built up on the creator of the file or the last modifier, and then aggregated across all the results you get back. Now, if you look at the right-hand side, we have something called people who wrote about. So these are people who wrote about Mark 8. So this is actually built a bit different. What it does is it looks at all the documents coming back, but you don't necessarily have to be a creator or the last modifier. You could be one of the modifiers of document. So if we take this user study document, so say 4 people have collaborated on this document, and then Alan might have been the second one. That means so his signal would be lost after someone did an edit after him, but is actually captured as part of the graph signals, and that's also being used back in search. So that means when we bring back all the items here, we can actually aggregate across any contributor to the document and not just the creator or the last modifier, which greatly improves what you see. And also, we're not just looking at the total number of contributions across all the content, because that could be years and years of content. So it's looking at the personalized documents coming back, which you might have more relevance to, and then bringing people up. So that means the experts here on Mark 8 might be people you know more than the general author refiner. So going back to the search box, so let's start to look for a person, as I talked about before, as a pivot to find content. So if I start typing Adele, you see I have Adele Vance here as a colleague of mine. So when I click Adele, you see we have this people pill on top. That means we see items around Adele. So we have content, contact, organization, calendar, and office. So pretty much something you previously would have gone to Delve to see. That means the content here is content Adele has worked on or contributed to, same as the people who knows something about the content at the previous demo. And this gives me a good view of Adele's content. So I can also move to contact, which shows Adele's contact information. I can go to the organization to see her organization chart, right? Who's her boss and who she works with. Or if I go to her office, I actually get a floor plan of where Adele's cubicle is inside of this office plan. If I go back to classics, I can do the same thing. If I search for Adele, so I don't actually get a match just on her first name. So let's go to the people vertical. And here's Adele. And when I hover over Adele, I see pretty much the same thing. But I see a different set of documents using a different query. So it's not the same, and it's not as comprehensive or ranked in the same way as as modern search. So let's look a little bit on expertise search. So if I'm on the people vertical and I search for example, sales, this will give me everyone who works with sales. So I'm not sure if I actually work with one of these. They might be far off me in the organization. So the difference is, so if I now go back to Microsoft Search and I can type who knows about sales, I actually get Adele on top. So what this does, it instead of just giving me a list sorted on the all people ranking in classic search, it looks at who I actually work with and gives me the right Adele or the right person closer to someone I work with. So in this case, it's Adele, clearly works with sales, and she's probably the only one I work with who works in sales. And if we look a bit further down here, we also see we have Asaya, sort of in a cluster here. If there had been more, they would have been listed beside him. But and he's in sales and marketing, so he's apparently also a person who works with sales, but he's not as close to me as Adele. So that's why we highlight Adele at the top. So that just showcases some of the classic functionality versus the new capabilities in Microsoft Search. And hopefully it shows you that using Microsoft Search is an easier and better way to finding back content and people, and also using people as a pivot around content to get back to whatever you need to find. Thank you. Now that you've seen some of the innovation and the new experiences we're doing, Jotty will show you how you can move some of these classic scenarios over to Microsoft Search.
Thanks, Mikhail. So far, you saw how Microsoft Search can be compared to Classic Search and all the capabilities that Microsoft Search enables for you. And at this stage, if you're thinking about how you can move your current Classic SharePoint Search setup to Microsoft Search, then let's talk about that. The first thing to think about is the guiding principles that we think about when we are trying to move the Classic Search setup to Microsoft Search. The first one is that we focus on solving the customer scenarios. As a first point, before we start going deep into how this is done, let's talk about the guiding principles that we are adhering to when talking about moving from classic search to modern search. The first one is solving the customer scenarios, wherein we are focused on solving the pain points and the problems that were present in search, which were addressed in classic search. The aim is not to have a feature redone again in Microsoft Search, but to solve the problem that the customer or people were facing. The second one is coherence, which is a key factor in Microsoft Search. As you have seen, Microsoft Search is available across multiple different products. So a change which is done in case of, let's say, SharePoint should be coherently available in other applications like Office.com, Bing.com, etc., so that people are able to experience the goodness of the goodness of features across all of these different applications. Keeping this in mind, today we are going to focus on a couple of key features that we're talking about over here that will help you actually move your scenarios from classic search to modern search. We're going to be talking about adding bookmarks, then also about customizing your verticals, filters, and result layouts, and also how search box in classic search in some cases has already started redirecting to Microsoft Search.
To understand how Classic Search can be moved to Microsoft Search, let's first take an example of an organization where you have Classic Search set up, where several features offered as a part of Classic Search have been used to create the Classic Search setup, which is suitable for the needs of the employees in the organization. This particular organization, Contoso Pharma, has an employee called Victoria who is looking for information on leave policies. In this case, she comes to the Classic Search page and looks for the information by typing in her query in the search box and going to the search result page. Once you see the set of search results in the search result page, you might notice that the first result over here, called HR time off policies, talks about time off, and this is something that could satisfy the need of Victoria. Now, in this case, Victoria has used the keyword leave. Similar to this, many other employees in the organization might be using other terms such as vacation, time off to actually look for the same information, which is time off policies. The mismatch of the terminology of time off and leave should not result in the employee not finding the right information, and to ensure this, the organization has added a promoted result where all of these different types of keywords will still show the right result that the employees are looking for. The promoted result is one such feature that the organization has used for Classic Search. The other feature that the organization and the employees use predominantly is filters. On the left side of the page, you see different types of filters. An author filter is something which is specifically used by the organization to narrow down the search results based on the person who has authored the documents, files, etc. So this is also used by the organization a lot, and this is something that they would need if they were to move to the Microsoft Search. Apart from this, the third aspect of search that the organization has tweaked is related to the type of information that the users can look for. Contoso team was a team in the organization that was reorganized, and a new team called Mark 8 team was created. The organization still has some information present in the Contoso team's site. However, they want all the employees to start looking for the current latest information related to the work on the market site. As a result, although they want people who have access to Contoso team site to go there and look for information, they don't want the information to appear in the search result pages. To address this need, the organization has done some changes. Before that, let me show you what happens if I look for Contoso team. When I enter Contoso team keyword in the search results, in the search box, you will notice that I do see a lot of results related to Contoso, but then the Contoso team is not showing up. As a comparison, let me show you an equivalent search in Microsoft Search for the same organization. Over here, you will notice that when I search for Contoso team, I see the Contoso team site, which is not yet hidden from the users. Going back to the classic search setup, let me actually show you how this setup is done. So the organization has edited the search page and the web part for search and added a keyword query so that the Contoso team, so that the results from the Contoso team path are no longer visible to the employees. These are the changes that the organization has done to their classic search setup to make the setup very close to what the employees are looking for. An equivalent of this can be achieved in the Microsoft Search setup using the current features that we have. To show you how those changes can be done, let me switch to the other screen. Over here, we are in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center of Contoso Pharma, wherein we have Microsoft Search Administrative Center. You can do a lot of changes over here. Let's talk about the first scenario that we actually want to move from Classic Search to Microsoft Search, which is that when employees search for different types of terms like leave, vacation, time off, etc., they are able to find the right result. In Classic Search, this was achieved by using promoted results, and in Microsoft Search, this can be achieved by using bookmarks. Bookmarks can be found under Answers and in the bookmark section over here. Now, the first thing that you might notice over here is that you already have a list of bookmarks present. Managing and editing of bookmarks is very simple in Microsoft Search. One of the great cases that you can have over here is if you have a long list of bookmarks present, it's very easy for you to search for bookmarks. So here you have now only 3 bookmarks, and you can select one of them and start editing. For our case of having a bookmark for leave policies, let's head over to this Add button and click on Add to get started. Once we get started, we see that adding a bookmark requires you to enter some information like title, URL, bookmark description, and keywords. So let's take the reference of a classic search where we already had a promoted result and add similar information over here for this particular bookmark. Let's change this. So in our case, the title was the HR policies. So let's do that. Let me scroll down. As well as we had a description which is similar to what we had in classic search. Now, as I am starting to add this information, you will see that the bookmark has started updating on top. This gives you a visual representation of what the bookmark is going to look like in the actual search page, and you don't have to wait and go over to the search page to see your bookmark view. Once I have provided the basic information, the next step for me would be to add keywords. As soon as I click here, I see that there are certain suggested keywords which are already present based on the information that I have provided. I just go ahead and add these, as well as I add in my own keywords that I know that the employees in the organization use. Once I have done this, I can look at the rest of the settings that can be used. Couple of key things that the Microsoft Search Bookmarks allows you to do very easily is target the bookmark to certain type of people. Now this could be dependent on a country or region. If the leave policies in your organization vary from one region to another, you can curate the bookmarks to apply to this condition, where you get to select the type of the different countries or region where the given bookmark applies. Apart from this, you can also go ahead and select groups. So in case you want this bookmark to be visible only to a certain set of users based on the security groups, that option is also available over here. Once all the information has been provided, you can go ahead and publish your bookmark. In this case, we will not do so because the bookmark was already present as a promoted result in Classic Search, and as a result, it has already been added to Microsoft Search. To see this, let's head back to our older screen. Over here, let's head back to the Microsoft Search page that we have. And let's try the same keyword of leave and see if the bookmark has been added or not. As you can see, although the bookmark that I was creating in the Administrative Center was not published, I still have the bookmark that was added as a part of the classic promoted results. This is how you can move your first scenario of showing top results from Classic Search to Microsoft Search. The other set of scenarios that we want to now address is first one, adding the capability of searching based on author, and the second one being adding the capability of hiding certain types of results based on the query that has been added to the search page. Now, for the second one, let me actually show you what the search results look like when I search for Contoso team today. As you can see, we are still seeing Contoso team as a search result over here on top, and we are not seeing the author filter over here. That makes it really easy for me to search for documents based on the authors. We are now back to Microsoft Search Administrative Center. After adding the bookmark and looking at the bookmarks, let's now move to customization. Customizations are today allowed on verticals. In the verticals tab, the first thing that you might notice is the set of verticals like all, files, sites, and people, which are visible on your search result page that are also available on your administration page. With this, you will have the ability to do some limited edits to these set of verticals as well. Projects is a vertical that has been added by the organization. Going back to our scenario that we want to move from Classic Search to Microsoft Search, There are two key things that we want to do at this stage. One is that we want to add a filter for author on the all page. And two is that we actually want to remove the results from Contoso team's site so that they are not searchable by the employees when they search for it from the search result page. So let's select the all filter and start editing it. There are various aspects which are available for edit, but I would like to get started with the query. The query which was used in the classic search can be reused over here to ensure that the results from the Contoso team site are not searchable on the all vertical. I can click on next and go to the next step, which is adding of filters. This is also simple. Once you click on add a filter, you are first shown a list of all the refinable managed properties which are present. For author, I want to select the correct refinable property, which is in this case display author. Once I'm able to search for this property, I select display author and go to the next step. In the next step over here, I have to select, I can provide the name that my employees see when they do the search. In my case, I would like that to be author. I can also select the type of interface that the employees use, if it should be a single select or if it should be a multi-select. Now, in case of author, I know that employees a lot of times look for multiple authors at the same time so that they can easily find the documents. So I will select multi-select as the option over here and click on done. My author filter has now been added and I can go to the next step. With these two changes, I will update the all vertical. Once the all vertical is updated, we can go back to the search page to see if the changes have reflected. The vertical is now updated, so I'll click on done and we can go back to the search page.
So we are back again at our search page and we have made the changes. So let's just refresh the page and see if the changes are actually reflected. Here you go. So what you see over here is, if you remember, earlier you could actually see the Contoso team result, which is gone now. And apart from that, you also have this author filter, which has shown up. Now, if you click on author, you see all the various people who have contributed to the results which are showing up over here. And you will be able to go ahead and select these and refine your search page according to this. These are some of the key capabilities which will help you in moving your classic SharePoint search scenarios to modern. Apart from this, some of the other key experiences which are needed is the capability, firstly, of being able to change the result layouts. So this capability was something which was available in case of classic search, but is not yet available on Microsoft Search. But this is something which we have started working on, and as a part of the Graph Connectors work, you are today able to customize the results that you see in your custom verticals. A similar capability will be available for content in SharePoint as well. The other thing that we have been doing to make sure that you experience the goodness of Microsoft Search is redirecting the search box in case of SharePoint search pages to the Microsoft search box, because of which you will be able to do the searches based on Microsoft Search. These are all the capabilities that will help you to move from Classic Search to Microsoft Search. Today, we spoke about Microsoft Search, why you should choose Microsoft Search, and the kind of capabilities that it offers to you in helping you be more productive. We also went over some scenarios which, if you're using Classic Search, will be needed to help you move to Microsoft Search. In conclusion, if you look at Microsoft Search today, it has a lot to offer. It is an intelligent search which is powered by Microsoft Graph. It offers you personalized results. It adapts to your organization and is constantly evolving as compared to Classic Search, where the evolution has, you can say, stopped a few years back. One of the key tenet for it is configure once and enable your experiences everywhere. And lastly, it's also easier to manage. We urge you to give Microsoft Search a try and think about how you can actually move your current classic search experiences to Microsoft Search. If you have any queries or questions on how this can be done, you are welcome to tweet at us or send us query on the tech community channels. You also have this link shown over here, aka.ms/Microsoft Search, which is a good starting point for you. Thank you for listening to this talk and hope this has been really helpful for you. Thank you.